Hey, my name is Crystal and this is the second time I'm doing this video and my phone is playing up. Alexa, what's the time please?
It's 5:23 p.m.
Well, it's 5:23 p.m. and I just got back from my mother Jennifer's in Chatham. I spent most of the day round there because I've had a pulsating headache. I phoned the doctors this morning. They didn't say it was urgent. They just said if your headache gets worse, go to A&E, accident and emergency. I've had this pulsating headache on and off since I've had the iron infusions. Obviously it's worrying me, but I do know where A&E is, and I'm certainly not walking up there from Rochester either. Right, so I've spent most of the day around my mum's, got a taxi around 11 o'clock, driver went round the back, realised I wasn't out there, drove round to the front. He looked like my dad when he was younger. He looked like Derek when he was about 50, my age, 50, 55. Grey curly hair, rugged face. Nice bloke, chatted to me all the way up to my mother's at Durrell Gardens. My mum paid the taxi at the end. She came out and asked if where I was. I was sat in the back seat. Yeah, we was talking about these lovely flats and how he said they're lovely, aren't they? How are you getting on in them? I said, well, they're not soundproof. I can hear my neighbour speaking. I can hear the kids above the ceiling. It's dominating my life, all this. My neighbour upstairs and his kids and all the racket and the builder's noise, and they're still building 2 years after moving into these flats with all the noise and the dust. So he said to me, have you contacted your local MP? So I said, I've contacted Kelly Tolhurst twice. She tells me she's written to Hyde Housing, but she can't help me move, which is fair enough. And he said, well, you know, some councillors, you know, they get payments and they help people when they get paid. They don't bother with Common of Garden, you know, members of the public. But if they are going to open an event and she's all dressed up and that, she goes to it, but she doesn't, she's useless basically. Kelly Tolhurst, I've been told, is absolutely useless. But she accepts payments, apparently. That's what I was told. Donations, they call it. If people donate money, they're out and they're helping, and I'm just a poor member of the public, so nobody's interested, basically. That's what he meant. He said that'd drive me mad. Can't you get out of there? He said, why don't you go to a Labour walk-in? You know, you can go into a Labour walk-in centre. He said you need someone to come out physically into your flat and hear the noise that's being made upstairs. So I'm going to try that. He said it's just off Crow Lane near the Vines, and I've been there before. I've walked my dog down the Vines. So yeah, he said, do you know, you keep pressuring until you get out of there. He said, don't stop. I'm not going to, but I've got a headache at the moment, which is preventing me from writing in my diary and getting on with everyday things in life with a thumping, throbbing headache. Taxi driver hooted for me when I came out of my mother's. He hooted his horn. White Star taxis coming home. Asian driver, and on the radio was a comedy sketch about somebody getting something stuck in their throat, unable to swallow, it was too big. I don't know what he meant. My mum gave me a Morrison's bag. In it, she gave me some sirloin steak from Morrison's, a nice piece of sirloin steak. Because I couldn't eat round there. I've got a headache and I feel sick. She did offer to cook me dinner, but I couldn't eat it. We have a beef dinner. Right, this morning my neighbour was parked outside my bedroom window. He's not here at the moment, so it's quiet. The space where he parked is empty. He's out and all seems quiet. I haven't got any kids. I don't pick up any kids from school. Another thing I was talking to this taxi driver about, he said he was a driver for autistic children and they were going to school. He said even if kids are autistic, they can still go to school. And perhaps they do part-time. I don't know. Right? But the only time it's my business is when I'm being woken up repeatedly, sometimes on the hour, with loud bangs on the ceiling. That I do object to. So I spent some time with my mother. Her worker called her up. One of the women is called Jewel, 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 fancy name. And one of the names I remember was when my dad, Derek, was alive. He took me to the Easy Pet Centre in Chatham to get Snowball spayed, because she was a young cat then. That must have been about 9 or 10 years ago, maybe a little bit less. And Crystal White was one of the people dressed in a white coat. Crystal White, her name was. Dad's got Snowball defleed and booked her in for a spay appointment, and Crystal White dealt with it. So we are used to fancy names: Jewel, Chastity, Charity, and that's a character off of Emmerdale, Charity. So basically my mum has got her disabled cushion. They were phoning up to check on my mum and her disabled cushion. Jennifer's disabled cushion she sits on to help her get off the settee. My mum asked them to come out. She needed more help. They said they can't come out because of COVID. That's what they told my mum. I was sat there while she took the phone call. They can't come out due to COVID. That's fair enough. So my mum is worried about falling and cracking her head open coming out of the bath. She's on her own by herself and has got no rails or anything to hold on to, and they won't come out. I at the moment can still walk. I'm 53 and I'm walking to my doctor's appointment, by the way, next week. My poor mum is struggling to get in the bath, but I'm walking to my doctor's appointment. The fresh air will do me good, and hopefully I won't get a barrage of cannabis blown in my face. I'm having to shut the windows because there's a cannabis smoker somewhere that blows it off the balcony and it comes through my window. And Max goes frantic. He starts running up and down the flat. All his eyes are watering. Mine are my eyes watering. You don't normally get your eyes water with a normal headache, do you? Isn't that an allergy? Anyway, I'm back home from my mother's. I can't stay overnight. And I'm Jennifer's daughter, and really she needs care workers going in and out looking after her because I'm not well myself.